I going to need a mic? Is this all mic'd up and everything?
It's mic'd up.
Okay. Okay, that's good. Okay. Carl, are we ready?
We are ready.
Good morning and welcome to the Adult Forum at St. Paul's Cathedral. Mother Susan asked me to send her regards. She's out of town at a family wedding reunion. Sounds to me like pretty much fun. It's in Missouri. So anyway, and she was worried that there wouldn't be anybody to introduce me. And so I decided I'd just introduce myself. And my name is Fran Derrick, and I have been a member of St. Paul since 1984. And my husband and I, Gary Derrick, were married here in 1986. And my 3 children were baptized here, all girls, and they were all married here. And so this church has become our second family, and it's I have a great love for it in the sense of the people that I've met and the friends I have, and so I just wanted to talk a little bit about part of the catechism, which is the outline of faith, and is in your prayer book. It's in the back, and the catechism starts on page 843, I think. Well, yeah, 844, 845. And I think that there's been a couple of other people that have talked about it. And, but I want to talk about the ministers of the church. And if we can just put up that one thing that we have, and that you'll be able to see some of that. In the beginning, it talks about the church, and in the last sections of the section of the church, it says, you know, what is the mission of the church? And it says that the mission of the church is to restore all people to unity with God and each other in Christ. And then how does the church pursue its mission? The church pursues its mission as it prays and worships, proclaims the gospel, and promotes justice, peace, and love. That's a lot of things. And then through whom does the church carry out its mission? And this is the important part. The church carries out its mission through the ministry of all its members. And then it talks about the ministry. And it asks, who are the ministers of the church? And the ministers of the church are laypersons, bishops, priests, and deacons. You know, I find this to be remarkable in the sense that the bishops don't come first, that the laity comes first, the laypersons come first, the members come first. That's who, you know, that's the first one. And so then it asks, is laity or the laypersons? And the ministry of the laypersons is to represent Christ and his church, to bear witness to him wherever they may be, and according to the gifts given them, to carry on Christ's work of reconciliation in the world, and to take their place in the life, worship, and governance of the church. These things in bold are for me. They didn't come from the prayer book, but that's what is important, I think, for me. And so I'd like to also tell you a little bit more about me, in the sense that I have had lots of opportunities to be a layperson in this church and to do certain things. And in the beginning, I had small children, and I tried to participate in the altar guild. And that was an interesting experience, and I enjoyed it, but it might not have been my gift. Later, there was an opportunity. They needed a Christian education coordinator. And so I decided that I would be willing and able to do that, even though maybe I didn't particularly have the gift for it. But I found that it was really an experience that I enjoyed and loved. And I loved it so much, I did it for 10 years. And it was an experience for me to meet other people and to engage others so that they could become involved in St. Paul's and become a part of it in a way that would help others. There are several people here that I engaged in that area, and I think that they found that they had gifts that they didn't even know they had. So later on, I became part of the Acolyte Masters group, a lay reader, chalice bearer. I volunteer right now at the bookstore. I help set up a ministry where Debbie Blossin and I, well, actually Debbie arranges the flowers. I kind of just take the pictures, but we take the altar flowers, and then people in the pastoral care team come and pick them up and take them to shut-ins and people that need some cheer. So what I'm telling you all this is that there are lots of opportunities to become involved in the life of St. Paul's. And, I did it a lot of times out of a need. There was a need that needed to be filled, and I thought maybe it wasn't so much that I had a gift. I mean, it talks in here about according to the gifts given them, but I like to think that sometimes the need comes before you learning that you have a gift, or maybe even if you don't have a gift. I think that, we learn to step up and to do the things that need to be done. And that's part of being what Christ is, and, being Christ-like in the world. I think that, there's several aspects of lay ministry. A lot of times we see lay people in our worship service, which is really remarkable and I know that there's people that are very learned about the history of the church, but a long time ago, it was really just, ordained people that did all the things. They did everything. And the members of the congregation were more static in their approach to worship. And now there's lay people involved in the worship. And then in our kind of worship, it's a dynamic experience and we participate in it. So, COVID has really hurt me in a way because of the fact that we can't sing. Now I can't join, Scott's choir because I can't sing that well, but I love to sing in church. And I think that being a participant in church helps us to, continue that participation and continue to be in worship. And so those are the kind of things that we can do as a congregation to help further the kingdom of God. So worship is one area. There's lots of opportunities to participate in that, even if it's just coming to church regularly and participating in the worship. Then there's organizations within the church that give you an opportunity to meet new people, to provide hospitality. Someday we'll get to that. Well, we're getting close. We're going to have some hospitality outside now later on this month, but there are opportunities. We have mobile meals that provide outreach to shut-ins. I know right now they are looking for cooks. So if that's something that interests you, that would be something that you could do. And that's kind of an outreach. We have the bookstore, which provides, the money that's collected from the bookstore provides outreach, organization, church. But they have to have people there to help, run the bookstore. So that's another area. There's also the outreach that takes place, in other areas. We at St. Paul's have done St. George's Guild, which is a guild that helps with people's with utilities and IDs and things like that. Right now, they're kind of in because of COVID, they're kind of thinking their mission, but that is something for outside of St. Paul's and the members. We have a now relationship with the YWCA. We have a relationship with Palomar. There's just lots of ways that we can help others through organizations. And that's part of being a Christian and part of being a layperson within the church. It talks about the governance of the church. And to me, that's kind of the one thing that's kind of the hardest part about, there has to be a body that, helps our church continue to grow and to continue to be an important part of each other's lives. And the governance of the church right now is our vestry and then the Diocese of Oklahoma. I serve on the vestry right now. I'm in my last year. Primarily, I wouldn't consider it a gift of mine, but it was at a time of transition, and I felt like it was important to be a part of that. But it's been a real blessing to see how people come together and make decisions and take care of the finances of the church and raise money for the church. So that's another area that is somewhat overlooked sometimes as a way that lay people serve the church. I was struck today by what Dean Churchwell, when she was preaching, she talked about, love, and that's what we're all about. And like I said before, one of the reasons why I do some of the things that I do is not because I'm necessarily gifted, but because I love this church so much. And I love the way that it reaches out to anyone and everyone, how it responds to, we have an amazing pastoral leadership team that is made up completely of lay people and then and some clergy. And they visit people. They do a remarkable job of keeping in touch and knowing what's going on. And I think that when I think about people that don't have that kind of community, I feel like it's kind of sad because they may be sick or they may have had a loss in their life, and there's not someone for them to have them reach out to them. So there's just a lot of areas that if it weren't for the lay people, it would be very hard for the clergy to do all the things that the ordained people to do all the things that this church does. And I welcome any of you that if you've had an interest in anything, or if you see an interest, just talk to somebody. They'll let you know if it's something that they think you can do, or if it's something that, or maybe redirect you to something else that they think that you could do. It's one way to get involved and to stay involved. But most importantly, I think that one of the things that is in the prayer book, and I don't have it on here on the big sheet, but I will read it. It says, and this is in on page 856, and talks about the ministry, and then it goes through, what is the ministry of the priest or the deacon or the bishop. but it says, what is the duty of all Christians? And it says the duty of all Christians is to follow Christ, to come together week by week for corporate worship, and to work, pray, and give for the spread of the kingdom of God. And as you know, everyone is a layperson in the church if you're not ordained, and that's a pretty big goal. And so I'm going to open this up to some questions or some comments from someone that might have something else to share. Anybody else? Yes, Rick.
Yes, I guess what I get from you, I guess the key that is, if you want to help and if you think maybe you don't know how you can help or what, I guess the key is just to ask other members or ask clergy, right?
Yes. I mean, there are certain things that require a certain skill. Like I said, you know, Scott's choirs are pretty, you know, skillful. But for the most part, you know, I think, you know, you can continue to just look around. And, you know, we did get an email just last week about the mobile meals needing some help. There will be opportunities for that. You know, there are certain things that volunteers that we, you know, we find that we need to, we have either too many or not enough. And so that has to be kind of managed a little bit. But the clergy is probably the first place to go, and you kind of can tell who's involved. Derek, my husband, is the head acolyte master, and he does the scheduling. So perhaps if being an acolyte, we have adult acolytes. And so if that's something that interests you, then you can get a hold of him. So, but it's just the way of, if you're new to the church, this is the way to become more committed and to learn more. And so I think that, like I said, for giving presentations is my gift, but there was a need for someone to do it. And so I felt like that, I had participated in lots of areas. And so you can talk to me if you have a question. So yes, Gary.
Ben, with COVID this year and had a huge impact on our worship service. We could no longer gather in person. We had to make this almost immediate transition, relying upon technology and media. And there were a lot of lay people that stepped up to fill those voids.
Right. And, and one of our newest confirmands has been so helpful that he has to be here and make sure that we can be on Zoom and everything else. And I mean, what a gift that was. I mean, So Kyle Foster, we appreciate you and that you found your niche really quickly. And we promise that we'll find some, and that's the thing, you don't want to get in a position where you're the only person doing something, but when things get started again, Kyle will probably be able to find someone that will help him just pass the torch. And more than anything else, I want this community to feel the love that I have for this church. And I want the community as a whole in Oklahoma City to know that St. Paul's Cathedral is one that reaches out and reaches beyond their doors and helps those in need. And I wanted them to know that we do that because we love God and we love Christ, and we want to share. So
remind them that there is actually a sign up on the webpage.
There's a sign up on the webpage.
You can click a box and say, I want to know more about.
Right. Janie's saying that on the website, there is a place that you can check, and if you want to know more about something, if you want to know more about the Altar Guild, if you want to know more about being a lay reader, if you want to know more about ushers, Garden Guild. Yes, that's right. We have, there's lots of opportunities, and you'll find that, it's been a while since we've had meals served in this big room, but this is where we spend a lot of time eating and communicating with each other. And we have a big kitchen guild that used to, do all kinds of things. And so it's going to get better, and we'll need more help. So anybody else? Yes, Kyle.
One thing I would just say as somebody who is new to the cathedral, and even people that have been part of this community for a long time, is I think sometimes people are afraid to step up and volunteer because they feel like they're retreating on someone's turf. That's their thing. I don't want to try to push in, but that hasn't been my experience here at all. Everybody has been, if you want to help, everybody's just so glad to
Right.
have the involvement. So I would just encourage anybody, if you've ever been afraid to step up and volunteer, it's been a wonderful experience for me.
Well, and I think you get to know people a little better. And yeah, I think that's right, Kyle. You just have to you have to be a little bold. And if you don't really know what you want to do, just ask somebody. I say, I want to do something. And guess what? They'll find something for you to do one way or the other. They may ask you a few questions, but to see what your interests are, but there's just a lot of ways to help out. And so anything else? I really appreciate this time to talk with you about some of the things that have made me a better Christian, but has also made me love this church so much more. And so now we have some confirmands here today, right? Do we have some confirmands here today? Okay. Yeah. Well, very good. And I know that Debbie, you've found some ways to help right now. I mean, you were working in St. George's Guild, and hopefully we'll get that reestablished. It's going to be it's kind of difficult, but and I guess sometimes, it's important to kind of be able to be in worship sometimes and enjoy that and not be involved in everything. But sooner or later, I'd like for you to reach out and find something to do here at St. Paul's Cathedral. Thank you very much.